Before school integration was complete in 1970, another set of memories was being made on the other side of Brownsville. Dunbar School was built in the late 1860s, and under the direction of John Gloucester, it served Haywood County's black students.
Funny thing I found out about the school was that it only went till the 11th grade. It didn't go till the 12th. They was only training blacks to go to be farmers and domestic workers and all of that. They wasn't training them for higher education.
Haywood County was dotted with small, often one-room elementary schools. From these, the students went on to Dunbar.
A lot of people that went to Dunbar School, we didn't have public transportation. A bus wasn't bringing students here. There were many students who had to live in homes around here, especially the rural county, and this has always been a lot of rural people living in this area. They didn't live within the immediate area of the school, and they had to come to town and they stayed the whole week in boarding houses, and they would go to school here, and on weekends they go back home, and some of them didn't go back home for the whole weekend. And we have the history of that from some of the people who went through that. They talks about how difficult it was to come to school. Then later on, there was a few companies that privately owned was busing children. They had to pay 10 cents a day and so forth to come to school, come to town to go to high school, because there was no high school in the county. All the county schools went till 1st through the 8th grade. And after the 8th grade, you had to come to town to go to the high school. And this was the only high school in the area for blacks.
Dunbar was destroyed by fire, and the students attended school in area churches and homes until the Haywood County Training School was built around 1920. In 1950, Roy Bond became the principal, and the school was renamed in honor of George Washington Carver. Over the next 20 years, Carver High School grew, and the students built a rich history of school spirit. There was men's and women's sports, cultural programs, trade and tech courses, and a focus on personal success.
We have different peoples everywhere that has went to school here, and this is the history that we're trying to show. We show it from the beginning of the school on to it was till it closed in 1970, and we try to have some parts of that showing the teachers and some of the students that went here and how they have went on into different parts of the country and has made their lives better.
Tina Turner was known by her Carver schoolmates as Anna Mae Bullock. It's interesting to note that county school records show that black students outnumbered white students 2 to 1.
Dunbar, you know, it was a different location. When it burned down, they built back in this location, and it just expanded to grow to house more teachers. And then they added on a cafeteria, a gymnasium, workshop, wood shop out back there. The building is still back there. And this is where they had all these different training, when they had over 2,000 students at one time in the school system right here.
The memories end at 1970, when the final students transferred to Haywood County High School and the Carver building was closed. The old gym now houses the Boys and Girls Club, and the Alumni Association, founded by Mrs. Willie Bell Rawls, operates this Carver High School museum. The memories are sometimes bittersweet when sifted with the history of segregation.
I didn't know any different. I didn't know that we was going to a different school and white was. I knew they was going to a different school, but I didn't realize that it didn't dawn on me that we was getting second-handed books, all of this, all second-hand supplies, and everything came after they had been used, because it had always been that way. So you don't know what you're missing until you see that there are different things. And later in life, you know, you realize that you was behind the curtain from the beginning, because most of the books that you are now teaching, being taught by, it's almost obsolete. And we had that problem. That was an issue here, but if you haven't experienced anything different, then you doesn't know it, you know. Then when I got out of school here, and I went to college for a couple of years, I realized how far behind I was as far as courses and things that I had been taught, because when you go out into the world, you know, you're not just in Haywood County. You're competing against people from every walks of life, and some of them have had the best of schools and the best of training that's available. And it really puts anyone to a disadvantage to survive when you haven't had the background from the beginning.
In 1970, integration was a mixed blessing as black students worked to overcome long-held negative stereotypes.
On the other hand, we have access to better equipment and stuff, better books, latest books. We have more, you go to the white schools now, you got more computers. If this was a predominantly black school across town, they would have second-hand computers, wouldn't have the latest books, editions. But for that purpose, we have better opportunities. But that personal touch, I think, is what is missing. There's no one that really shows that they care. Our black teachers always encouraged us. You can do it, you can do it. But when you get in a situation where it's like, I don't care if you get it or not, I got mine. That whole attitude is seen and is rubbed off in the way that they do the things. So I think we lost that, and that has hurt the black community. As far as gaining access, better equipment, it was a blessing, better material. But on the other hand, we don't have that push.
The Carver High School Museum and the oral histories being collected want to impress upon the children the importance of education and to show them the tremendous advantages they have been given by the generations that have passed. Those are lessons all of us can use.
We have a cultural setting. We don't see that we need to push our children. We just think if we send them to school, the teacher's supposed to do it. I was working on a program before I moved back here, and I was working with some kids that was having problems. And I talked to that lady. I tried to talk to the lady on several occasions, and I never could get her. So one night about 10:30, 11 o'clock, I called her, and I asked her, told her child was having problems in school, and we need to sit down and talk. She told me, said, look, I got to work. Do what you can do with that kid, because I don't have time to come out to no school and miss no day of work. Well, that attitude lets you know that there's a cultural setting. You know, she's dealing with this, but there are many more people who doesn't say it that way, but they have the same feeling. I don't have time to leave my job and come out there to help with my child and help discipline him. And I don't have time to work, make him get his homework when he get home. You got to do that at school. But we're hurting our children, and we see the result now because we're building more, even in this county. We are building a $15 million jail and haven't built a school in over 30 years. We need to be putting more emphasis on these children when they're young. And we can't wait till they get to the high school. We can't even wait till they get back to the third grade. We got to start working those kids then. If they're behind in the third grade, they're going to be behind when they get to the ninth grade without we have some intervention. And I see that now as I come through, as I am older in life. And I see that need to be done in our school system and with our parents. How are we going to get these parents to be involved? I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I see the problem, and I know it's got to be done. Something's got to be done about it. Our children need to know what we've gone through, what we went through. We didn't get the best education in the field, but we had an opportunity to do it. And we need to let our children know now, we who have returned we're in our 60s, we need to let people know that you need to let your kids get that best education in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Don't wait till they get to high school and then start telling them you need to go to college. And I think this school, it taught that to us, and we have experienced it. Now we can come back and enforce it more.